Hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of our entitled parents. In today's episode, I'm legally blind. I can steal whatever I want. My mom isn't allowing me or my brother to receive our inheritance in full. Is she in the right? Entitled dad wanted access to school after hours. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. I'm legally blind. I can steal whatever I want. The store I work in happens to have those motorized scooters that people who are disabled and or can't walk use to do their shopping. We've had our fair share of random teenagers and kids riding them just for fun. It only goes like 5 miles per hour, not much fun if you ask me. And because of that, our security guard, who we'll call SG, is super strict about what people are actually allowed to use them. He normally doesn't confront anybody, but if someone doesn't look disabled and they're using the scooters, he'll approach them and possibly throw them out. This lady, however, took this to a whole new level. I was working my shift when I saw this kid, a perfectly normal-looking kid, on one of the scooters with his mom following him, grabbing things and putting them into the cart. He was swerving around and being super noisy, and she looked like she had murder in her eyes. I wanted to say something, but I figured SG would eventually be talking to them. I see them pass by going the opposite way about 15 minutes later. This time, the mom was riding it, and her son was doing the walking. Eventually, SG came around, and this time, I said something to him. Hey, aren't the scooters supposed to be saved for disabled people? SG, oh, you're talking about the kid? Yeah, I know, but I can tell she's having a rough time with her boy. I don't think it's that big a deal this late at night. Well, apparently he ate those words, because later on, this happened. I was called to the front to help out with cashiering, and I happened to see the mom and kid ride out of the store with the scooter and its cart filled with groceries. I didn't think much of it, as they're supposed to bring it to the entrance and park it there, but soon enough, SG came running out of his office to the parking lot and called for all managers to follow him. Which was me, of course. Right in the front of the lot, we saw this lady holding up one end of the scooter with her son holding the other, and he is inside the bed of a pickup truck, trying to load the cart into the back, and a man is in the driver's seat, revving it up. SG, what the hell are you doing? That's store property. EM tries to hurry and push the cart into the truck, but SG and I caught up to her and tried to stop her. She starts screeching and throwing hands, shouting, "I'm legally blind." Yes, just like the meme. The guy gets out of his truck to stop SG and I, but luckily, he has a can of pepper spray that he always carries with him, which he instantly pulls and shoots the guy straight in the eye. He starts screaming like a B***TCH. She is screaming, and we're doing all we can to subdue both of them until the police arrive. The kid just stood and watched. Police arrive, and both parents are put in the back seat and taken to the station, and the kid's grandma comes by to grab him. She is a sweet lady who is a regular customer. She apologizes profusely for her daughter and says that she and her husband have a huge marijuana problem. Sure enough, she had found out both her and the dad had traces of THC in their system. Even the poor kid, who would later be checked after CPS gave custody to his grandma, was apparently constantly inhaling marijuana smoke. I don't know if he has anything, but hopefully not, and if he did, I hope he got better. I haven't seen the little guy in a while. It just blows my mind how this lady thought she could have gotten away with stealing a motorized shopping cart. What would she even use it for? Marijuana problem, LOL. I know, right? Sounds like more of a meth problem. LOL, as if traces of THC causes people to steal. That's like saying, I'm a mentally handicapped person. I can kill people without suffering any punishments. Also, doesn't marijuana make you laid back? How would marijuana provoke you to steal? My mom isn't allowing me or my brother to receive our inheritance in full. Is she in the right? So November last year, my great-uncle passed from a stroke. He lived in a farm bungalow with quite a number of acres that he owned. After his death, his land was sold for a very large amount of money. The bungalow hasn't been sold yet, but not many people are in the market for one nowadays. Anyway, fast forward a few months and our mom's explaining to us about the inheritance, and I thought, nice, I'll be able to get a new car and potentially put a mortgage down for a house. I'm only 18, so I probably won't until my 20s. Then another couple months down, my brother managed to crash his second car in a month, and as he had smoked recently to that crash, when the police arrived they drug tested him and he got done. Plunker. Since this incident, our mom has been drug testing us every week, and if we test positive for anything, we get the boot. I didn't help my case as I had gone to a weekend festival and did a couple drugs. My only argument is that it's the most typical setting to do the drugs I did, and at the end of the day I'm 18 and wanted to have a bit of fun, try new things YK. And when I got back I was welcomed with a drug test and I was out the house for a week before I tested negative on the drugs I did. After this, she spoke with both me and my brother and told us she will not be giving us our inheritance in monthly installments. Each month we have to test negative every week, and if we don't for even 1 week of that month, we don't receive the month's installment. All I'm after is, can she do this? She reckons she can, but I've tried researching, but I can't find much. If I can get an answer, that'll be great. You should get a lawyer and ask to see the will to see if you are specifically named in the will. Get a lawyer, or don't do the drugs. Not sure about the legal side. I am not a lawyer. I am very curious though. For that amount of money, is just not using recreational drugs such a hardship? When my wife and I did estate planning, it was highly recommended that if something were to happen to us and our daughter was 18, that she not receive a large sum of money or assets. It's just bad news to give a young, inexperienced adult that much money. Lawyer recommendation was at least 25, potentially older depending on circumstances. Best is for it to go into a trust, with trustee having power to disperse amounts for acceptable purposes, school, car, house, etc. Having said that, unless your uncle put all this kind of stuff in an estate plan, your mom is going rogue on this one and doesn't sound legal. I would be asking her, did uncle's estate documents place any restrictions on the distribution of assets, or make you a trustee in his trust? If she doesn't have anything to back up what she's doing, then you will need to get a lawyer involved. Entitled Dad wanted access to school after hours. I work as a supply school custodian, so I fill in where needed. Some evenings at some schools, different groups come in the evening, and I have to let them in. I was at a school that had a basketball group. I'm waiting at the door and man comes up to it with his toddler children, and I ask, "Are you here for basketball?" He replied, "No, my daughter really needs to use the washroom. Can we come in?" I told him, "No, I'm sorry, I can't let you in. Only people who are permitted to be here after hours are allowed in the building." He freaked out at me saying, "This is a Catholic school. You can't turn people away who need into the building. So you are really going to tell a 3-year-old little girl she can't come inside to go pee? You can even follow us to the washroom and stand outside of it." I said to him, "I'm really sorry, but I can't do that. I'm just following school board policy, because if I don't, I could lose my job." He then said, "Wow, you are unbelievable and cruel. I'm going to report this." He then stormed off with his children and took his daughter behind a tree in the parking lot. I got the death stare from him as I was letting in the basketball group. I did let my supervisor know about the incident and was told I 100% did the right thing not letting them into the school. Edit. The problem if I had let him in and followed them is then I'm not at the door to let the group in on time, and they would be complaining that they didn't get let in at their designated time. This school is in the middle of a subdivision, so they were likely on a walk, so they could have just as easily gone home. I live in Ontario, so the majority of elementary schools in Ontario have key fobs for staff to enter the building. So even if a situation like this happened during the day, he wouldn't be able to enter the building without getting buzzed in at the main entrance. And even then, they wouldn't let a grown man and his toddler children come in and use a washroom with students in the building. Honestly, schools aren't public places for anybody off the street to come inside and do as they please during school hours or after school hours. When groups do come in after school hours, they are restricted to the area that they are assigned to. So at this particular school, that just the gym, so the doors to the rest of the school are locked, and they can only use the gym and the change rooms. Entitled people are everywhere. I worked in a public school, elementary, and we had a father come in on a Friday night after school to help himself to the copiers. We would not have known, except that he jammed up both copiers and left his material in the machine. He used thousands of pieces of paper for his business. Evidently, he thought since he paid taxes, the copiers were available for him to use. People like this don't care if you lose your job. Everything is about them, and you are just an NPC in his life. Exactly in my point of view, he was a narcissistic NPC that I had to defeat, and I did defeat him by not letting him inside. Oddly, when my kids were learning to use a toilet as toddlers, I knew where all the clean and accessible toilets were, and none of them were school my kids didn't even attend, open hours or not. They were all businesses. Exactly. A school is not a place to bring your toddler to use the washroom. Even if he had shown up during the school day, he wouldn't be allowed to access to the building since his kids don't go there, and it would be very weird for a grown man taking his kids into a school washroom. This school is also in the middle of a subdivision, so they were likely out on a walk, so I don't get why not just go home and have the kid use the toilet at home. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.